Hey guys, what's going on? What's up, fellas?
How you doing?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Nice to see you all. I like to see all of your faces in your places. It's kind of a nice little touch here. Carl, I especially love your exotic percussion setup. Along with, is that a Negroni I see? Ah, classy.
Indeed,
nice. Well, as we figure out the technological barriers between us and our fans here, I want to welcome everybody to our first ever pandemic album release party. We're celebrating, obviously, in a way that is a little unnatural for us. We're learning how to communicate in cubes, in boxes oriented on our digital screens. And we wanted to take this opportunity to reach out to all of our fans, our friends, all the people tuning in all over the world, country, nation, house, and wanted to say thank you so much for all of your support in this time. We have just been overwhelmed with the amount of support today from the album release, from the streams, from the messages we've been getting, from the donations coming in. Thank you all so much for your loyal support to our band. We really just could not be doing this without you, and the reason we're here tonight is to celebrate you and your participation in our journey here. This is our 10th year as a band, and we're releasing our 5th full-length record today. It's called Man from the Future, and it's out on Color Red Records. Some of you may have already gone to the Color Red website and purchased the record, the vinyl, the actual record that we're putting out on vinyl. And you've probably gotten the download stream already, and we appreciate your support on that. For those of you who are listening throughout the night, we're going to keep pushing that record because we need to sell that record. That's the reason that we put it out. And normally we'd be on tour right now, just getting started to take this record all over the place, to bring it live and direct, but we can't do that. So we're going to be pushing the sale of that record here. And every time you see us, probably for the next year, we're probably going to be doing the same thing. So I want to thank you in advance for buying our records every time. We appreciate that. But as well, one of the things that I wanted to bring note to is that we have a donation link that's available on all the sites that you're looking at. If you're out there and you want to help support the band in a way that's a little bit more than just buying a record or something like that, anonymous or otherwise, we appreciate your donations. It really does and has helped make the difference here in this time where we can't really work in the traditional sense. Throughout the evening, we're going to get into the juicy parts of this record. We're going to listen to the tracks. We're going to explore some of the ideas and concepts behind the music. And we're also going to take questions about the music, about the process, anything that you want to share or ask the band. Now's your chance to do that. You can just type in a message into your Facebook stream or on YouTube, and our team of scientific and technological experts are going to be streaming through those and fielding those questions to us. We're very fortunate and lucky to have with us tonight our diehard and loyal sound engineer, Stuart Jackson.
Woo!
And Stuart has taken on a brand new role in this COVID era, and he's now our audio, technical, visual guru, and he is in control of all things digital and technological today. So if anything goes wrong, Stuart is to blame for that. And you can just send him a message. He's on Twitch and Spotify and also on Tinder. So make sure that you come up. So I think we should get into the process here. Once again, if you want to support the band, donate to the link. If you want to buy the record, go to colorred.com. We also do have a brand new merch store that we just launched on our website. And the website is www.polyrhythmics.com. All the merchandise that we were about to take on the road with us here in this year, this next little period here to support the record, will be available for sale on our website. For those of you who have already bought T-shirts and sent me pictures and sent the band pictures and stuff like that, it just means so much to us. I mean, every day I'm sure for you guys out there is just like looking for the little bright moments in life and these little surprises, and all that stuff just really, really makes our day. So thank you so much for your support. Without further ado, let's get into the reason why we're here, which is to celebrate the release of our brand new record, Man from the Future. And we thought a great way to start off this segment would be to introduce Jason Gray, our engineer, our bass player, our recording guru, and really the muscle behind making this album possible. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about the process of making the record, maybe show you some inside tips into his scientific laboratory. And
Not too many secrets, though. Don't give them all away.
Oh yeah, don't give all the tricks away.
Don't worry.
So without further ado, let's take it to Jason, and he can fill you guys in on a little bit about the process of making this record.
Thanks, Ben. I want to take a moment to just reemphasize everything that Ben said. Thank you so much for all of your support, everybody. Being somebody who's so directly invested in this band, as all of us are, but especially the recordings, I do almost all of the production work and the recording process for this band, which I am incredibly thankful to be a part of. To have all of these fantastic musicians be my paintbrushes are pretty amazing to create the soundscape that we do. That being said, we do it together. We record together, we mix together, we talk about it endlessly. So what you're hearing in the record is really the end product of all of our creative input. We each have different departments and different neighborhoods and different cul-de-sacs that we like to live in, and certain things we care more about. But it's really cool to see it line up and to see us all kind of arrive at this product, which I hear from everybody in the band, we're all stoked about. We're all happy about it. And for me, for this record, it's again, every single time with this band, but this is yet again the best record I think we made so far. And to see this band completely just continue on that trajectory to grow, it's pretty amazing to be a part of. Down to the nitty gritty of the recording, this one was tracked in January 2019. It was tracked at Studio Soleil, which is here in West Seattle. It's a fantastic studio operated by a fantastic human being, Mel Detmer, who we've been working with for a very long time. She has been my main guidepost for how I approach recording and sound engineering, and I'm incredibly thankful for all the knowledge that she shared with me. And she's a cool gal that we're all fortunate to know. So we tracked it at her place, and then we picked it up and we took it back here, which is where I'm sitting, Blue Mallard, which is a studio that I built. It's at my house on my property. I'm excited to have it, and I'm excited to get to use it a little more. We've done so far one full band Polyrhythmics recording in here, and that was one track we did just before everything got locked down. I'm going to keep the secret what it is, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's something a little different. But that being said, I'm just getting started here at Blue Mallard as far as tracking goes. But as far as mixing and post-production, this is where it happened. This is where this record was crafted, was sculpted into the shape that you're going to hear it. What's next? I mean, after that, we mix, we post, all the post-production stuff. That's all the vibey echoes and delays, and that's how we kind of create the sound stage of the music. And as far as the tunes go and how they're treated, I try to allow the tune to guide, let the music guide and see what it asks for as far as effects or anything that we want to add to it. After that, it gets to go to vinyl. Thankfully, this will be our 4th full-length vinyl production, our 5th full-length album. And again, I'm the one that heads up all of that process, from taking it from my hard drive on my little computer that I use, and then translating it to vinyl. That involves getting it mastered. We have a fantastic guy in Colorado. His name is Doug Krebs, and he's an incredible mastering engineer. He's an old school Seattle guy. He moved to Denver a number of years ago, but thankfully we can still get him to do our work. He also does a lot of work for Color Red, so he's part of the family, and he does a fantastic job of mastering for digital, which is what you're going to hear online here. And he also helps optimize it for vinyl mastering. This record is getting pressed by the New Orleans record plant, and it's a new record plant in New Orleans. They're cool dudes. They gave me the test pressing. It feels great. It's going to come out on 180 gram black vinyl, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So that's kind of the overview of my role, aside from just playing the bass in this band. As far as this record goes, I'm extremely proud of it and extremely fortunate and thankful to be working with y'all. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Nate.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's up, Nate?
Yo, Nate.
Oh,
Hey.
band! I get to hang out with the band.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Like, I miss you guys.
Aw,
Likewise.
And, hello to all the people on the internet. Anyone who's foolish enough to tune in and watch us talk about stuff. I guess I really like to thank the Color Red for putting out the record, helping us, do our thing in strange times. But yeah, let's talk about the record a little bit. The first song on it is called Yeti Set Go. Sort of a tribute to Bigfoot, because a lot of times we're traveling around Bigfoot country, and unfortunately we haven't seen one yet, but I think there's a few of us that really want to believe. So that's sort of my love letter to Bigfoot there. The song started out as a demo when I was trying to figure out Logic. Came up with like a simple keyboard riff, followed by a pretty simple like flute riff. I think Art was playing a lot of flute in the band, and we all wanted more of that. So thank you, Art. And so I made this demo, and it's just rhythm section. I was really proud of it. I thought, oh man, all the parts are there. This song is like, it's done. Everyone's gonna love it. And sometimes when you're a songwriter, you feel like you have to sort of ask people for help. Hey man, I need some of this. I need, I've got a riff, but it's not quite worked out. And, you'll sort of ask people in the band, maybe you can help me with this part or this part. But in this case, I really thought I was done until I presented it to everyone and thinking, I've got it all figured out. And of course I didn't have it all figured out. Like everybody really improved the parts, and Scott came to me, and I was really flattered when Scott's like, dude, I could make this song so much more epic. I've got some really good ideas for it. Now at first I'm thinking, my ego is thinking, no man, it's done. It's all there. It doesn't need any more. And then, obviously I heard Scott's ideas, and he really added like a fifth and sixth and seventh dimension that I would not have thought possible in my own imagination. So, yeah, well, we should listen to it. I don't know.
Thanks, Nate. That's not nice of you, man.
Yeah, man. You guys can judge for yourself. The internets, if the horns. There's a moment where you get a visualization listening to the song of, 1,000 elephant warrior soldiers galloping over the hill, Hannibal taking over Mongolia, and yeah, that's really far from what I was thinking when I wrote a dumb little rhythm section thing, but it got pretty elevated, I think. But judge for yourself. I don't know if we're ready to roll this.
Yeah, we're good to go, Nate.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Yeti, set, go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Polyrhythmics album release live stream. We're here supporting The Man from the Future, a new record from the band. We want to remind you that we have a donate link in the description of all our live streams, YouTube, Facebook. It sends you to liveconcertstream.com, and that is a place where you can also catch the live stream and join our chat. I'm also here to moderate and bring in questions, and I also want to remind you that we definitely would love it if you went and bought the record over at Color Red. That's a really important part of this process. Selling that vinyl is why we're here today. So the question we have coming in from Kyle Jones, he wants to know how long you've been working on Man from the Future.
Oof. Ben, you want to take that one?
Sure. Kyle, what's up, buddy? I wish we could be hanging out, outside a show right now. Maybe just kicking it, getting loose, but we can't. So we're going to talk this way over the internet. I think, we were just kind of talking about this record and the process, and really like January 2019 is when the record process started, when we were up at the cabin and kind of pulling all the ideas from the road and all the new songs in that people were ready to bring to the table. That all kind of happened right in January. So we'll say that that's the beginning of this whole process, and here we are today. So that's all of 2019 and a couple months into 2020, give or take.
I think you could probably also add that this one was a little different in that we did kind of road test, not all of the tunes, but there were a handful of them that we were really kind of playing live before we got into the studio, and it doesn't always work that way. But that's also why you can look at kind of all of 2019 as being a time when we were working on these tunes before we may have recorded them. Is that fair to say, Ben?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like we went up to the cabin, we kind of we sort of arranged all this music, and then all through 2019, like there was some tracks which we'll talk about that got introduced right away to the live experience of the band, and we started bringing that live. The ones that were kind of like maybe a little bit more complete, that were brought to the band as sort of complete entities, and then some of the more complex tracks that required a little bit more group writing and group arrangement, we sort of held back and worked on in rehearsals and sound checks and stuff through that year, and then recorded it and then started bringing it out live. So probably about 50-50 on this record as it landed. But yeah, that's kind of the process. 2019 was a banging year for Polyrhythmics.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I was around for it. There's some cool shows. I dug it.
Indeed.
So in a lot of ways too, like, the process of the album. This was the first album that Stu was really with us from the beginning, all throughout that process of us writing the music and then bringing that stuff live. So we had the ability to kind of conjure up the production value of the record in a live setting, versus our last record where we were mostly performing, sort of not regurgitating, but like revisiting the sounds that were on the record, and Stu was sort of translating that record live into a mixed experience for the live audience. So I think he was a little bit more involved in the sculpting of it, and also, is a lot more intimately aware probably of the processes and the ways that we made it. So that was kind of a cool new sort of tilt into the sound world for the band, I think.
Yeah,
Same,
for sure.
Same for me. I don't think I've been a part of anything in that process exactly. Like, I've done studio work before, but being part of the live experience from the ground up was really cool. I really dug it. All right.
Yeah, man.
I think we're going to move along here. We're going to go to the cut down. Ben, I think you're introducing that one.
Yeah, thanks. And again, thanks everybody for your support. We want to remind you guys that the record is available at Color Red. You can donate to the band by smashing the donate link on any of your feeds there. And of course, you can go to Polyrhythmics website and pick up any of the merchandise that we have available to sell. We promise if we sell out, we will stock it again, because that's what we need to do. So thank you for your support and all that. Let's get into the cut down. The cut down is the second track on the record. And this song is kind of unique. It was in the sense that the vision for the song was kind of fully evolved before the parts for the song was. This band has been lucky enough to travel down to New Orleans quite a bit over the last decade, and spent a lot of really legendary experiences during Jazz Fest and Mardi Gras and different times that we've had down there. And on on one particular eve of Jazz Fest experience, I was in the garden cutting down the harvest, and we were getting ready for this Jazz Fest experience. And I was envisioning in my head just how cool that night out on Frenchman Street was going to be, and sort of the idea that it's sort of the coming together. Like if anyone's been out on Frenchman Street during Jazz Fest for the late night shows, you get every possible type of funk music in one sort of 50-yard radius. So you can hear some psychedelic funk in one club, and then you walk in and hear some traditional jazz and maybe some other like New Orleans funk leaning stuff or some go-go music or whatever. All funk bands from all over the place are down there throwing it down. And the experience that I had in my mind, I was in there cutting it down, I was like thinking about this heavy funk groove, like walking into the Blue Nile and hearing this band funking it out, and then walking out onto the street and hearing like a New Orleans second line band like marching down the street playing some more Creole inspired funk music. And that's kind of where the B section of the song came in. And then dipping into another club and getting kind of smashed with like an electro psychedelic funk kind of vibe. And then getting back onto the street and hearing that New Orleans sound again, reminding you that you are in New Orleans. You're not just in another club somewhere in the middle of America. You're in New Orleans during Jazz Fest, and it's time to party. And so that was kind of the spirit and the inspiration behind this track. This is one of the songs that we didn't actually really perform live until it was actually worked out in the studio, and we went up to, when we were in Misty Mountain working on the track, I remember I had sort of the idea of the New Orleans part, and I threw it over to Eli, and he kind of came up with a really, really cool trombone iteration of that, which is sort of the lead line in the B section of the song, where it kind of leads that New Orleans feel. And then Scott brought in his magic and helped with the arrangement, and it just kind of came together. My only deep regret is that we were just kind of starting to get into the middle trancey section, pretty heavy in the fall of last year and into the spring. We were really, really kind of starting to explore that space, and I don't think we fully gotten down that deep, dark rabbit hole of dark and doom funk that is coming. So I look forward to exploring this track on the other end of all this stuff live with all y'all.
Doom funk.
But for now, let's listen to it. Let's hear how it came out.
Hey, welcome back again to the Polyrhythmics live stream album release party for Man from the Future. You can buy the record on Color Red with a link enabled and embedded in our comment or our description down there on all the sites. That's live concert streaming, that's YouTube, that's Facebook. We're stoked to be here with you, and we're stoked to be sharing this record. Please donate if you feel you can do that. That helps us out, as well as buying the record. Let's see. We're going to do some more questions now. Looks like we have one from Graham Fox here. He wants to know, why is Applegate so crazy?
Should we tell him?
Where is...
You kind of have to go to figure it out, you know? You really have to be there, you know?
Right. I would
That's
say
where the
you
gay
need to
wizard
go
comes
there.
in.
You need to get. You definitely need to go there for sure.
Well,
I would say Applegate. Yeah, go ahead, Art. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna prep and say we might need to describe what Applegate is before we talk about why it's crazy.
That's
The
true.
Applegate River Lodge, right? It is a handmade cabin structure in the middle of Applegate, Oregon, right? Right down by the beautiful Applegate River.
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous, and there's a family. It's a family-run establishment. The father, he built it with his own two hands,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been running this sort of Airbnb style hotel plus restaurant for what was it, like 20 years now or something like that.
I'm not even sure. Yeah.
Not
Many
even sure either, but
years.
Yeah.
many years, several or more. Right.
And Southern Oregon's always been a really great spot for us. One of our favorite spots to play. It's just kind of like, it's kind of one of those spots in the United States that there is no other place like it. I feel like Southern Oregon in general.
The shows always make me smile, and the energy's crazy there. Like, it's just amazing.
The energy's wild. You know, there's a very wide array of folks down there.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Very wide array of folks. All very cool.
Uh-huh.
And
Very creative and very expressive people.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The why is I don't know if we can answer why it is the way it is, but it is the way that it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Shout out to
You don't
Bob.
ask. It's like a unicorn. You don't ask. You just appreciate. You know.
Right. Right.
We've
Never
got
asked, Scott.
I think it's so crazy. I think it's so crazy down there, mostly because it's not in California, but it feels like it's like almost in California, and it's not really. It doesn't really identify with like the northern part of Oregon, and so it's just kind of like a place where people go to do their own thing and set up their lives in the way that they want to set it up, and be as free as they absolutely want to be with their expressive dancing.
Nice. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And depending on what season it is, they might have like a lot of cash on them.
Yeah.
It is always nice to travel to Southern Oregon as a band traveling down the West Coast. I mean, this is one of these secrets for you East Coast bands out there who are just grinding it out in like Philly and DC and, you know, Baltimore, you know, those really hotbeds of society. Here on the West Coast, you know, you drive down the West Coast and you get to these little oases like Southern Oregon, and the grass is greener and people are nice, and luckily the music is appreciated as part of their society and culture so much that they're willing to overtly express themselves with generous donations, and also just absolute love and adornment for the band and the music. And one thing that's also kind of unique about Applegate, I think, is that we have seen people both in Applegate from all over the country and the world in some cases, as well as been out on the road in places all over the country and run into people from Applegate. So it's a music community that definitely travels for music, and we aspire and admire their lifestyle.
Cool. Yeah, that's
Right on.
exactly it.
Well said.
Well
That's
done.
the feeling. We have another question here.
But the
This
unicorn
one-
thing was cool too, though, right? Like that was cool.
You bet, Scotty.
We've got a question for Carl here. It says, we love the combo of both you and Grant. How did you approach your role as a new band member when you joined?
Learn the tunes first. It really helped because I was a fan of this band for a long time. So I'd seen the guys play many times. We had done shows together. I was drummer in another band called Polecat, and we had done many shows together. So I was fortunate to be friends with all these guys, and then stepped in and learned all the tunes, did my best to fill the enormous shoes of Lalo Bello. And then once we started to kind of write some new tunes together, tried to put in my input. I don't know, Grant, what do you think?
Well, I think that anyone that has that question should check out the new Den of Thieves record, which is me and Carl, drum, percussion, drum breaks only. It's actually not a record. It's just a 45. It's 2 tracks. But yeah, it's been great playing with Carl. I mean, Carl loves to come up with parts, which I love. He's a great improviser. But, you know, it's really great working with Carl because we come up with these interlocking parts that kind of just, you know, instead of like a drummer and a percussionist, it's more like a 12-headed drum percussion monster, you know, that is
serpentine,
that shows no mercy.
Lousy with stats.
Yeah.
What about the Leather Boys? Whatever happened to the Leather Boys?
Leather Boys.
Yeah.
You know,
Leather Boys
now
are out of season right now.
It's out of season, but I'm working on a leather bubble right now. When I re-enter society, I'll have like an 8-foot diameter leather bubble, and there'll be a zipper to like peek out, make my interactions, you know, and then zip it back up. I'm making one for Grant too.
We are not just talking to each other. You know that, right, guys?
Well, I can't wait. Personally, I can't wait for the Leather Boys to make their comeback, leather bubble or not. I hope that we can build it. We have enough room in the trailer for all of the accessories that we need to get back on the road for this next endeavor.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be more hype maintenance after this.
We've got a question that maybe pertains to that. We have a question asking, when are you guys going to play Los Angeles next?
Ooh.
I mean, just as soon as we can, you know?
As soon as humanly possible. And
Yeah.
I'm from the area. I would love to come back, you know?
I mean, we don't know when we're playing next. When you guys know, we'll know. Is basically how it's going to work, and we hope that comes as soon as possible. But I will say that in this time period, what has been really awesome for us to see is the people from different parts that we have visited reaching out, saying how much they'd love for us to come back. And then, like when fans from LA say, "Hey, we want you guys to come back to LA," we definitely are like, "Let's go to LA." You know, we want to go wherever people want to hear the music. So make your voices known if you live in a region that we ignored, either by because we couldn't get there because we didn't know about it, or if there's a place that we play even more often where you guys want to see us come back, because we'd love to start thinking about things like that. So help us out.
All right. We want to do a couple quick shout outs here. We want to shout out, looks like Travis Hill. He gave us a $300 donation. Thanks so much, Travis. That really helps
Boom,
us.
Travis. Thank you, baller.
Thank you,
Thank
Travis.
you, Travis.
And then
Travis.
an M. Abercrombie donated $100. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Crombie.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to go into our next tune here. You guys ready for that?
Yeah,
We
let's
are
do it.
indeed.
Carl, looks like you're introducing Digital Cowboy for us.
Yeah, Digital Cowboy. First off, this is named after the one and only Nathan Spicer. He's an amazing man and an even more amazing musician. And somewhere along the line, he picked up the nickname Digital Cowboy. I can't remember where along the dusty trail that tumbleweed rolled over, but he picked that up somewhere. And Grant came up with this tune, and we started working this out on the road. This is one we've been able to play live for a while now. And I remember we were starting to work on this somewhere on the timeline, but we went on a tour with an amazing band called Ghost Note that I'm sure many of you have heard of. But I remember
Awesome.
starting to we were starting to break this in around that time. And it's got a really, people throw out the term stank face a lot, and some of you probably know what that is, but this is one of those like stank face groups, like really low tempo in a good way. And this one has some really amazing soloists that have a part of the puzzle. Ben takes a great guitar solo in this one, so look for that. And then Nate, the Digital Cowboy, puts a nice bow on the tune. And this was one of my favorites. I really think it's a highlight of our live sets. I'm sure some of you out there who've seen us live in the last year or so recognize this, hopefully. So, and then once we got a chance to lay this down as a track and do some post-production, Jason did his magic. We did some nice kind of psychedelic layers. This one has some really cool feels, like it's got a really heavy down tempo, or lower slapping tempo groove, then some nice melodic sections, and a real chance to explore some textures in the studio. I think it turned out really great, and let you guys hear it. Digital Cowboy.
All right, welcome back again to the Polyrhythmics Man from the Future live stream album release party here. We got all our folks ready to answer questions, tell you things about the record. We want to remind you again, though, that we have links embedded below the video here for both buying the record and donating to the band, both of which help us out immensely right now. It's really hard to make money in the conventional way as a band, so we're really looking for outside resources, and this is one thing we still can do, which is sell you records and sell you a live experience, which is something we're excited to be here today doing. And we want to thank a couple donators, Sophia VW for $200. That we really appreciate that. And then Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Cousin hit us with
Sophia.
some money, right?
Thank you, Sophia.
Yeah.
Then we got Uncle Al as well with $100.
Oh, Uncle Al. Yeah, Uncle Al. Thank you so much. We love you, Uncle Al. We miss you. We can't wait to get to Santa Fe. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, check out liveconcertstreaming.com. They've got a bunch of concert streams they're doing right now, and we're trying to build out that platform further with them and see what can happen on there. Super excited to work with them on this, and we're going to keep answering some questions now. Guys,
Nice.
How did the band get started? How was it formed? Somebody was curious about that in our live chat.
Grant?
Yeah, so how the band was formed, this question gets asked a lot, you know? And I'd say that the best way you could say this is I was going to college with Jason at Cornish. I was also going to college with Eli at Cornish. And me and Jason had been playing music together. And then I met Ben. Me and Jason met Ben in that situation. And Ben was playing in a band called War Pigeon that we all thought was really cool. And so we all kind of wanted to start like a big group together. And I just kind of cold called Ben. I saw him play before, but I got his number from somebody and I gave him a call. And me, him, and Jason started jamming just as a trio. And then we started bringing in people that we knew. I knew Scott. I think Scott knew Art. They both knew Eli. Ben knew Nate. Ben also knew Lalo. And we all just kind of brought it in before there was any gigs, before there was any recordings, and like we were a recording project at that point. And so we made our first record, and after that we just kind of, you know, I think people kind of slowly started making it more and more of a priority, you know, because it's hard to get all these people together, especially in the way that we do. That's like a very democratic process, you know. Everything that we do is very democratic, which, you know, for better or worse is what it is. And I think there's a lot of plus sides to it, you know. There's a lot of great things about it. And there's some things that make things, you know, harder on our management and longer, right? But yeah, that's really how it started. We all just kind of piece by piece came in. And then, of course, you know, we got Carl a few years ago. How many years ago was that? 3, 4?
Yeah.
3.
4. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've all kind of been in this together since then. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to that.
Yeah, one thing, I don't know if you guys remember this, and actually I'm not sure who knows about this. And the three of us, Ben, Grant, and myself, we got together, and Ben had this idea. It's like, okay, we're gonna start a big band. It's a real pain to start a big band and get a bunch of people to come in and be invested. So it was Ben's idea that we had, let's do 20 like skeleton grooves, right? So that when we bring other players in, we have something to like for them to bounce off of. And I think that process was really cool. The three of us got to know each other really well, and it also gave everybody coming in something to bounce off of, and some like momentum and some energy. So that I feel like that was a strong component of the formation and kind of what led to our first offering being so solid.
I'd like to add a little something to that. Like, I'd say that, like, because I came in after those three guys, and it was kind of the four of us for a minute, and I had no idea what Afrobeat, none of that stuff that they wanted to do. It was just more like an application of what I knew to an application of what other people knew. You know what I mean? And then like that was kind of like the best learning experience, and it continues to be the best learning experience of my life musically, this band. But that was like a whole opportunity for me to like learn how to take the stuff that I already knew and jam it into a different box and put it through a different filter. So that was kind of a cool experience for me, and that was the first time it ever happened for me. Like to have a collaborative experience with people, and that was with, you know, Grant had me over with those guys, and it was just a really cool inspiring experience. Continues to be, anyway. So
I would also say that a big, like one of my favorite bands at the time in the Northwest was Pocket Change, which was a band that Scott and Art played in, and Tarek Abu Zaid, and lots of other bad boys in the scene. You know, I remember being in college and like going to the Triple Door shows and being like, oh my God, these guys are so sick. And so that, yeah. But we broke up that band and started this one.
I was also a big fan of Pocket Change too, without even really knowing who they were. I'd seen them a couple times. It had been like, damn, and was always struck by the horn arrangements. And then got to know Art, Scott, and Eli a little bit more in playing in a band right before Polyrhythmics called Soul Kata that was going around with Lalo as well. So I think that's kind of was like the easy sort of glue connection that led to that format. But I do want to add one thing. You know, a lot of times on the road we get asked a lot, like, how do you guys keep it together? How do you keep this many musicians committed to what you're doing? And you know, Jason touched on one way that we were thinking about it in the time. And I think what happened over time is that we made a record, that first recording, and we put all of our effort into making this thing that everybody was a part of and that everybody created. So at the end of that, we had a physical thing left for the world. There was like this moment in time that all of us were a part of. And then when we started to license the music for 45s to a couple different labels, it was like this thing that really existed. And everybody right off the bat had sort of a certain level of investment in the project that I think that, I mean, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I think across the board that nobody had really experienced in the same way before, in the sense that we're putting out something that like people really wanted. We did an album release show and people showed up. You know, it was like all these things that you're like, wow, huh. You know, like, and so I think all those as the band went on and we continued to make more records, that level of commitment just got more sort of ingrained. Everyone's right, you know, part of the process of writing and recording, and it just became one of those things that sort of drives us today. And I think that what I've been getting asked a lot in some interviews is sort of like, well, what are you guys going to do next now that we're in a pandemic, you know? And I don't know that, like, for me, like, I have an answer for that, but I do know that we're going to be making music because that's what we're all invested in doing, you know, and we've all sort of taken this as something that sort of is our guide in our musical careers here. I think it's through the recordings that happened. So I'm personally very thankful for our ability to be celebrating our 5th full-length record today and to have gone through this experience of recording and arranging and writing music with you guys over the past 10 years. And still to be as excited as I was the first day to go in and make a new record. You know?
Right. Looks like we have a couple more donations to shout out here. Chris Hansen, NBC, donated $100.
Yeah, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. And then Kay Hobso also donated $100. Thanks so much, Kay Hobso.
All right, on.
Wow.
I think I know who that is. Portland family. What up?
All right, looks like we're going into In the Trees now. Eli, what's up with that track, man?
Hey, I don't want to talk about this song too long because it's a short song. It's only a minute and 50 seconds long, so I don't want this spiel to be longer than the actual music itself.
TikTok.
Just where the inspiration came from, I was given a book many, many years ago by another local Seattle musician, Brian Noyes Watkins, who was my roommate at the time. It's this book right here, Barren in the Trees by Italo Calvino. He was writing music in kind of the post-World War II era in Italy at the same time as Ennio Morricone was composing music for these spaghetti Western tunes. And so kind of the combination between my love of, you know, a cheesy spaghetti Western stickiness and also, you know, this author, Italo Calvino, kind of came together to form the inspiration for this song in general. I think it's unique in terms of what we've done in the past, just from the fact that this song is not meant at all to be a dance tune. Live, we use it as kind of an introduction to another song, which you'll hear later, called Chilada. But it was primarily written in the studio. So I had a melody and a very bare bones chord progression that the rest of the band helped me fill out. Nate did some wonderful organ work on it. Jason came up with some great bass fills near the end to kind of move the harmonic progression along. and the post production work was great as well with some huge bass drum hits and cymbal swells and all sorts of stuff from Grant and Carl. So really happy with the way this turned out, and super glad that everyone came together to give me the opportunity to bring this to the world. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy In the Trees. Everyone in my neighborhood.
Hey everyone, back again with the Polyrhythmics Man from the Future live stream. We're here to celebrate the release of a brand new record from the guys. You can find it on Color Red. You can also check us out on live concert streaming right now. We've got all these links and more down in our bio here. You can get to our webpage, to our Facebook, all that stuff. We are taking donations over there, and we'd really appreciate that in addition to the record sale. And we will be answering questions throughout. So please keep sending us questions. Every time a song ends, we go into this for a little bit. We want to shout out real quick to Abe Bloom for a $200 donation.
Hey!
Yeah, thank you, sis.
And then one from Sean Weitzel for $450.
Boom, Sean!
Oh, whoa, there's Sean.
Man,
Holy
Bring out the big
moly.
guns.
All right, a question for Carl. We're springing this on him because it's good. It's good. All right, you ready for this, man?
Yeah.
What is that crazy octopus percussion behind you? And can you show us how it sounds?
This one?
I think that's what they're asking about, Carl.
Yeah.
Sean's donation.
This thing I happen to place right here, wondering if, well,
Did you ask that question, Carl?
I got some secret accounts. It's some sort of woodblock contraption given to me by a good buddy, Matt Hunter. And anyway, it sounds like this. Sounds like that.
wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Delightful.
We have another question here. Who drinks the most cheladas in the band?
Mm.
Mm,
I'm gonna say Nate.
Yeah, probably Nate, I would think.
I
Nate.
don't know. Jason, I think, is up
Yeah,
there.
I like me
Yeah,
Slada.
but what
I
about
feel it
Grant?
usually goes like Jason buys one, and then everybody goes in and buys one.
Yeah.
It's usually the way that it works, and sometimes Nate buys two, and that's usually the way that it works. And then everybody enjoys the chilada, and then so I don't know who drinks the most, but Jason definitely brings it back the most, which I appreciate because it's a delicious drink.
It is.
it's sort of like a celebratory drink as well. So it's like
Yeah.
when we arrive on location, you know, after a grueling drive through like the hot Arizona desert, you know, it's a great thing to like just get out, you know, relax for a second, stretch your legs, crack a chilada.
Yeah.
We also
I think for me, it originally started when we would camp places, we'd play festivals, and like, you know, in order to set up a campsite in the tent after a grueling drive, chilada makes it a lot better.
It's true. We had another question asking who did the updated logo and album art. Do any of us know that offhand right now?
Yeah, absolutely, we know that. So the album art we would love obviously to talk about, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more throughout this this video. But the album artwork was done by the great Julie Costanzo, who has done our last three or last two albums previous to this, as well as this one. And her artwork is just amazing, and her dedication to helping us bring a vision to the people is just amazing. We always talk about as a band how we look for other artists to collaborate with, and what we're always looking for in artists and collaborators is someone who can take a little idea, because if we get too involved, then there's just like a lot of opinions and it takes a long time. So just a little idea, take it and run with it, and then just feed us back something that just blows our mind. You know, can everybody just be like that? But Julie is that person. I mean, the last three records, we were just like, oh my God, she totally gave us the vision that we sort of had in our head, but didn't know how to even put out into words. So, or into art. So Julie, thank you so much. We love the new record artwork, and if you guys should just all over the world check out her art, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Grant.
And it's all paint too.
Yeah,
Right.
she's real.
Real paint.
Yeah, all oil painting, and those paintings are available, but I don't know if you can buy this one. I'm not sure yet.
Grant, you want to introduce Chilada for us, man?
Sure, man. Thanks, Stu.
Keeping it casual.
You guys already
can't
kind of
have this be too-
you guys already stole some of my material. You know, I was gonna talk about what chiladas mean to this band. You know, because people love to ask questions like, "What does this track mean?" You know, and sometimes there is a deep meaning. Sometimes there's really not a deep meaning. And I can tell you, you know, this tune, I named it that just because this band likes chiladas. Like, chiladas is a part of this band. All right. When you're on the road. By the way, for anyone that doesn't know what a chilada is, or michelada, you can Google that. It's basically a Mexican beer with like some tomato juice, lime juice, some spices in it. Sometimes like clam juice, although I'm not really into that kind.
I had a bad experience.
And it's like it's like a poor man's Bloody Mary. All right. And like when you're on the road, beers are everywhere. All right. Beers are great, but they're not really like that special. You know, so like you got to celebrate those little victories, right? And like when you see people getting chiladas, that means like, oh, we've been driving for 10 hours and we're almost there. You know, like that, like there must be some kind of cause for celebration where, you know, that show went really well. So for us, it's kind of that kind of thing. Does the song really have anything to do with that directly? I'm not really sure. I think that, you know, first of all, I'll say like when writing for this band, at least I do in a lot of ways, I come in with a very clear, kind of like what Nate was saying, I come in with this clear idea of what this tune is and what it sounds like in my head. And then it gets put through the Polyrhythmics filter and it always sounds completely different, but it always sounds cooler and more unique. And that's one thing that, you know, I love about playing in this band and writing music for this band, because it's like everyone adds like something to it. Also, this tune is definitely something, you know, like we tried to go away from like the groove with a big horn melody kind of a thing that like we've done before. It was more like the guitar and the bass were kind of at the forefront with the melody in the beginning. Horns were doing pops. We also experimented more with like different makeups of the horn section for melodies. We experimented with muted trumpet comboed with flute, which we did for part of the melody in this tune. We also did that in the beginning of Yeti Set Go. I think these are the first record that we've ever used that combo of horns, and it just sounds really cool. So we use that again. And then the end of the tune, it was kind of designed to be, at least in the beginning, like a percussion feature. And Carl, as you can see, has lots of toys and things to hit. And you're only seeing, the tip of the iceberg there. And he's got lots of cool stacks. For those that don't know what stacks are, that's when cymbals are stacked on top of each other to create all sorts of cool trashy and staccato kind of sounds, similar to a hi-hat. And so Carl's featured at the end. Nate's featured at the end. It does kind of fall into what Ben was saying is more like a doom funk thing, I guess you could say. But anyways, because this is Chilada and we're releasing the record, let's cheers, you guys.
Yeah, Chilada.
Let's have a Chilada cheers.
Right. Yeah, I've been waiting for this one. Cheers, guys. All right.
Cheers.
All right.
All right, here's to
Congrats,
you
everybody.
guys.
Hit, Stu.
You
Thanks
know,
for
Delightful.
the song about what I do, Grant.
All right, we're going now. Everybody ready for the song?
Yeah.
yeah, let's play the tune.
We're live now. Hey, welcome back everyone to the Polyrhythmics live stream here, celebrating Man from the Future, the brand new album that we're releasing today. You can find this on Color Red Music. We're also streaming on liveconcertstream.com right now. They're a great site that's doing a lot of streams like this. We also want to mention that we are taking donations through that site, and we are accepting questions on Facebook, YouTube, and Live Concert Stream. Please get them into us. Make this a fun show for everybody. We love answering your questions. We have one for Art here, who will be introducing Man from the Future from Dan Spilka. He wants to ask about Man from the Future. He said he thinks it's a really cool title track, especially how it transitions to such a tight, funky groove. That part has like a cool Headhunters vibe to it to me.
Yes!
Could you share any writing process stories, inspiration, etc. of this tune?
Yes. Oh man, that's so Dan. I'm super stoked that you dropped the Headhunters reference. It's really awesome. I think, in general, as a band, we're always trying to do something new and pursue new sounds and do something that's our own. But that being said, I do kind of get really excited to talk about our influences. And to me, it feels a little bit like kind of giving credit where credit's due. So, even though we're always trying to kind of craft our own thing, Man from the Future actually I think is a great one to talk about some of the stuff that we've drawn from for a couple of reasons. It is the title track. There's nothing about it necessarily that in the music that made it like the album title. Originally the title it's a reference to a song by Tower of Power called Man from the Past. Grant came in with a drum beat that he had written. It's actually the drum beat in the main section of the song. And this was a groove that was kind of kicking around for a while. It was a part of the writing session for our previous record called Dara. And we kind of worked with it a little bit and then kind of got shelved. And then we started picking up again. Grant sent me a phone recording of that beat again so that I could listen to it a lot and like try to sing stuff in the shower when I'm driving or whatever. And then from there, the intro, I really was just straight up, I listened to a lot of Isaac Hayes. So the Shaft soundtrack for sure, which you can hear the influence, but then also Hot Buttered Soul. The guitar line actually in the second part is ripped pretty hard from the second track of that record. So Isaac Hayes, got to give it up. And then the saxophone solo that I take in that record, again, I was thinking a lot of Benny Maupin from his playing with Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters. Like I gotta say, but again, that polyrhythmics filter that Grant has talked about here and that we've all kind of referred to every once in a while, it did its thing. After I wrote that intro section and we got into kind of the main groove, Jason messing around with some different bass notes, we're displacing some things. We had a day off on tour in Montana or Wyoming or something. I showed up to Nate's hotel room. He had a little rig. I asked him to work out some chords for the end section. So, it really was like a team came together to kind of make it all kind of one cohesive thing, or as cohesive as it could be. We haven't really road tested this one as much. This really is kind of an album cut, I feel like. But again, Dan, thank you for asking because Headhunters are in there for sure. Isaac Hayes in the beginning. And I think that's pretty much, I'll go all night. So we better just play the tune, I think.
Hey, welcome back again, everyone, to the Polyrhythmics live stream for the Man from the Future album release. You can find the record over at Color Red. There's a link in the bio here. You can also donate to us at liveconcertstream.com. We'd love to have you join us over there. There's a live chat that's YouTube and Facebook and everything combined. And we'll be answering questions from that as we go along. We also want to give a big shout out to Will Bake for the $1,000 donation. Thanks for the rack, dude.
Will.
Thanks for the rack, bro.
Oh, throwing down a rack, Will.
Woo!
Thank you, Will.
Hey, thank you, Will.
We also got a $100 donation from Brian and Mitchell Higginson.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
What's up, you guys?
Super stoked about all that. Keep hanging out with us. It's going to be fun. We're going to switch to some questions now. We've got one. Is there any particular song on the record that you guys feel deviates harmonically the most from work you've released in the past?
Let me take a stab at that. Actually, I think it's an interesting question. And for the reverse reason that you're asking, I feel like actually harmonically we have simplified this record, which is what it makes it like very unique in my estimation, like in terms of the way we've worked in the past. I feel like we've tried to use more like jarring chordal movement in the past, sort of like beastly stuff, and like this record we dive more into R&B, things like that. And I think that's what makes this one unique is actually the simplification rather than the amplification of like more this, more that. It's a little bit less, which I think makes this unique and a little bit more in terms of getting the art across. That's my opinion of this.
Totally agree. No, that's
me
good.
too, man. Nicely put, Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
We got another question here. This one might be a good one for Ben. How did you guys approach that Grateful Dead Afrobeat set you did in New Orleans? That was a badass late night set that most don't know you did and pulled off amazingly. He says. Amazingly.
I don't want anyone to know that we did it.
Some good
Divisive.
background here might be to first start out with telling the internet what time of day that gig took place.
Well, I'll take credit for getting my band into this excursion, to say the least. We had the opportunity. I'll tell the whole story from beginning to end. We have been fortunate enough to perform for a number of years at the Bayou Rendezvous, which is an event the second weekend of Jazz Fest at the Howlin' Wolf in New Orleans every year. It's put on by a dear friend and a supporter of ours named Jeff Coriel, who just hosts an amazing event with tons of just killer bands from all over the country, especially showcasing a lot of the West Coast bands. And it's just one of those events that everybody looks forward to every year. Jeff reached out to me with the opportunity to fill, as he put it, I believe, the 4:30 a.m. time slot at the Howlin' Wolf Bayou Rendezvous, which at the time felt like an honor, to be honest with you, and still does. I mean, I would give my left testicle to go play a 4:30 a.m. set in New Orleans right now.
Agreed.
And, in the conversation, I want to say that, he sort of brought up the idea of doing like a Grateful Dead tribute type of experience, which has become very popular over the last decade or so on the West Coast in particular, but now, of course, all over the country, people paying honor to the Grateful Dead. And I am a lifelong Grateful Dead fan. I'm not ashamed to fly that flag. I love the Grateful Dead music, and it's something that has been with me a lot of my life, but has not necessarily been a big part of my musical career as a performer. And when I approached the idea to the band, I knew that most of the members of our band hadn't really listened to the Grateful Dead in a whole lot of detail, or didn't necessarily get it, or also just didn't. Some of the members of our band just didn't really like anything that they had heard before. So everyone sort of had a frame of reference. You can't live on the West Coast of the United States and not know who the Grateful Dead is or notice their impact in live music. But needless to say, it was definitely something that I was like, we're going to do this, guys, and it's going to be cool. And what we decided to do was mash up Grateful Dead songs with Fela Kuti songs and sort of make these unique arrangements that pay tribute to both artists in a dance-oriented set that still gave credence to what we do as artists and the music that we make as Polyrhythmics. So I put together a list of tunes and started sharing it with the dudes. They put a lot of faith in me. Like in that this was gonna actually get pulled off. We did a pretty limited number of rehearsals, but a pretty good enough to kind of get the ideas across, and everybody in the band helped contribute with the arrangements. And what happened that night in New Orleans, I believe, is on the archive somewhere for people to listen to. But it was one of those experiences that we spent a lot of time doing. I remember a specific performance at the Applegate Lodge on our way down the coast to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. We stayed there for 2 days, and we had the opportunity to rehearse some of the music on our day off. And there was some ardent Grateful Dead fans, to say the least, that were down there, sort of, kind of, I guess, sort of giving us like the badge of, you're doing it right, like you're not just like adding shtick to this, like you're paying tribute. And that sort of gave, I think, everybody in the band a little bit of a feeling like, okay, we're doing something that is not going to make us look like idiots, or is not going to make us seem trivial in some way. So we got to rehearse it there. We went down to Jazz Fest and we performed it late night one time. And for those of you who were there, including the asker of this question, thank you for being there with us. My mom was there. What's up, Mom? She was on stage with us till 6 a.m, which was impressive. My pregnant wife was there watching the show, and a whole lot of other bleary-eyed folks in the New Orleans late night ethos. So it was something that I was really, truly proud of. But the biggest thing that I'm proud of that whole experience is that we got Scott to perform Grateful Dead music professionally. Makes Scott the go-to Grateful Dead trumpet player on the West Coast, I think. I mean, I can't really think of...
Ben actually achieved the impossible.
I can't think of one.
And he put me up there. He really did.
We often refer to Scott as the Trey Anastasio of the trumpet, but in actuality, he's more like the Bob Weir of the trumpet.
True. The working
and
trumpet.
I think that shouldn't go unnoted. And for all of you out there who are looking to form your next Grateful Dead cover band project, you guys should think about hiring a horn section, and maybe Scott should lead it.
Speaking about that, there was a question on how best to contact members of the band for arrangement work, studio work, production work. Do you guys think we should send them to the website? What's best for that?
Probably the best thing is just send an email to polyrhythmics@gmail.com, and all of us get to see those emails, and we can definitely filter it to the right resources and people who can help. All of the members of our band teach. We work in music. We love working with other artists, and we would appreciate any kind of work in this dead time. So hit us up at the polyrhythmics@gmail.com, and we'll see how we can't, get in your life.
One more question before we keep moving. Someone was curious, who is the boot napper of the band?
Me, Nathan Spicer.
So I wear boots, cowboy boots, and I'm very tall. And when we go camping, my tent is small, and you can kind of see my boots poking out. So
He's the boot napper. All right, we have.
Nate doesn't like to use any extra energy, like taking your boots off before you go to
Bring it
sleep.
down.
That would be way too much. You
wait,
gotta keep the boots on while you're
Nate
asleep.
is the flop of the band. He's the most efficient energetically. The entire...
you're in a tiny tent and your feet are swollen after driving all day, and you try and take those boots off, you're gonna wreck your tent.
The man makes a good point here. All right, we're moving on to our next song here, Corpus Colossum. Scott, can you tell us a bit about that tune?
Yeah, I can. If I can stop laughing about Nate. Sure. What can I say about Corpus Colossum that
How about you spell it for us?
How's it spelled?
That's Corpus Coliseum.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We may have
Oh,
lost our Scotty here.
Scott, are you okay? Scott.
Well, I think we're going to go ahead and view the song here. We're going to get this sorted out while we're listening to the song. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
He's
What
back.
happened?
Hey. You're back, man.
Hey.
You froze.
You
You
guys
didn't
hear
even
me
get the
okay?
spell for us.
Yeah, you're fine
we got
now.
you now.
Okay, right on. So, Corpus Colossum. Jesus, all right. So, what can I say about Corpus Colossum that couldn't be said by a bunch of, psychology books from grad school? I don't know. Okay, so Corpus Colossum is basically the bridge that connects the left and right hemisphere of the brain, right? It's a neural juncture. Okay, that's what keeps your left and your right kind of communicating with each other. So you hear about right brain people and left brain people, right? Your left hand controls, left right side of your brain, vice versa. Anyway, so the idea of this tune here, first of all, this tune was a nugget that's just sitting in my head for like 3 years, and I couldn't do anything with it, and it was kind of making me angry. So what I did was I brought it to our Misty Mountain retreat, and just kind of brought the first part of it and taught it kind of to the band. We sort of like went through it, and I didn't really know if it was going to become anything else. I was kind of invested in a different thing I was writing at the time. So I was kind of just throwing this one out there to see if I could sate, that anger I had about not being able to finish this thing, So anyway, so as we moved on from that session, some of the guys were like, I really like that one. I think you should finish it. And for me, it was like, anyone who writes music has a bunch of nuggets that you just put aside that they think could be something someday, and maybe they could. Maybe this is what this is for me. It's one of those nuggets that sat there, and like maybe it's something, maybe it's not. I got enough like kind, persuasion from the band to sort of try to finish it. So, and the funny thing about this one is this actually was performed in its entirety for the very first time the night before, like the rehearsal the night before we started recording this record, which was a total fiasco, like getting into the studio, and there's a bunch of stuff involved, but like, so I was teaching just before that, and I thought of all these different ideas to do the other half, like, the right brain, left brain thing. I already had the left, I wanted the right, and I couldn't think of anything to make it work that felt right. And so this simple bass line came to me, and some simple horn lines came to me, and then I brought it to the band, and then it just, like, I'm going to say it again, Polyrhythmics filter just squeezed through that and became something that I'm probably more proud of than most things I've written in this band. Simply because it was against everything I thought it was going to be in the beginning, and it became something so much more than I wanted it to be in the end. And it also is my first experience exploring neo soul in my writing, and like R&B, and Grant. And I have a connection on the neo soul R&B thing. We really dig that stuff really hard, and I knew that he and Carl were just going to give me that thing I needed. And like, Ben came up with his own part on the B section. Like, everybody just kind of moved in and closed in on this thing. And I'm talking too much about this, so we should.
No, you're doing great, man.
I'm sorry. I just let's
check it out.
I do. Can I piggyback really quick though? Because Scott did say something that I want to point out, that like it does. We've talked a lot about bringing something and it goes through the filter, right? Or we can put something out there and everybody will pick it up. It takes an incredible amount of, I guess I can only speak for myself, but it takes a lot of trust, and it can be a little scary sometimes to put something out to anybody musically, like whether it's something that you've written completely or whether it's just one idea. And one thing that's really helped me, one way in which I've grown in 10 years being with this band is being more comfortable just bringing an idea and seeing what's going to happen. That's still very scary, like no matter what kind of group I'm doing it in or whatever. But this band has been really important to making me feel more comfortable, like bringing new ideas. It's kind of in the way that, Scott, you were talking about, right? Like just trusting that you can put it out there and everybody is going to, work with you on it. I just wanted to say that really quick.
No, absolutely. And I feel like, this tune, like for me, is sort of like a sea change thing for me, because it's not just like a collaborative, like it's not like Ben and I had two different parts of doing it, like in the past, or me and Grant or whatever. Like it's like a tune that I've decided to have less control over for once, which is like like moving forward for me. Yeah. To be like, guys, I don't even know how to deal with the other half of this. Can you help me make this into something? And you guys did. And so that's kind of how I feel about this one. That's why this one's important to me. I like this
right on, man.
So right on, guys. Let's hear it.
And I would add that the end of the song is probably one of the sexiest things we've ever recorded.
All right, here we go.
That thing is oozing.
Grab your significant.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Polyrhythmics live stream for their album release party for Man for the Future. It is out on Color Red Records and streaming sites right now. You can check out the links right below us. We're all on liveconcertstream.com. You can check it out there and donate to us there. We love the donations. We just got another couple $100 donations, a $200 donation from A. Bloom and Shenna Zach.
Nice.
Thanks so much.
Thank
We really
you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you.
And like I was
Did
saying,
you say Shenna Zach? Is that what you said?
Shenna Zach, yeah.
Sheena Zach.
Sheena Zach, sorry.
Thank you,
My
Sheena
bad.
Zach. Thank you, Sheena and Zach.
I'm on air, man. It's just getting to me.
It's
Don't
all
worry. So
good.
we're gonna put you back in your dark little canal here soon, where nobody
Go
sees
back
you
to
ever
my
again.
home. Oh wait. All right. So we've also got some questions here. We've got one pertaining to Psycho Fest, which unfortunately is canceled this year. But are we going to be on the bill for 2021? Does anyone know?
Psycho.
It sounds like that it got postponed until 2021. So it sounds like we're gonna be back rocking the pool party. On hopefully that's all that stuff is still in place, but I think it is, and
I certainly hope so.
yeah,
We love
Bad
Psycho.
Religion spot last year, by the way, which is a cool spot to have. Thank you so much. Love it. Great. Thank you, Psycho Fest.
I was super bummed to miss the Catatonia set that was due to happen this summer. Big Catatonia fan. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
have
man, I
a
know.
new record out.
For those of you who don't know about Psycho Fest, it's a psych rock festival that is held in Las Vegas in August every year. This last year was at the MGM Casino, and we got asked to perform, and we were definitely an outlier in terms of instrumentation. There was not a lot of bands that were similar to ours. A lot of times when we play festivals like on the West Coast or jam band style festivals, there's a lot more similar type of funk oriented or funk led projects. This was definitely leaning more to our psych side. And it was just a super cool experience getting to, play with other hardcore bands and fans of music that we would have probably never really went out and found on our own. So it was just such a great opportunity, and the people that put it on took really good care of your Polyrhythmics, and we look forward to that hospitality again in 2021.
Yeah, super appreciative. Awesome fest for sure.
Yeah, man. And by the way, metalheads are great fans of all kinds of great music, just so you know. They really
They're
are.
the best fans.
The best fans ever.
And definitely some awesome t-shirt shopping too, if you guys are looking for rock t-shirts. Some of the coolest. I mean, we're going to learn a lot from that. I think our next merch line is going to be a little bit more oriented to the psycho crowd.
We got a question for the horn section here.
All right.
How was the experience doing the dates with Dumpsta Funk?
Oh, snap. Hey, Eli, why don't you take that one, man?
Playing with Dumpsta Funk was a real treat. I mean, those guys, each and every one of them in their own way is completely legendary. Either if it's just for what they've recorded on, their family history of being amazing musicians like the Devils. It's just a treat to work with people that are so ingrained in New Orleans and funk music and jazz that, it was just an honor to be able to pick up that music and learn it. And they're all super sweet guys.
Yeah.
They treat you really well. And they remember you, which is something that you don't get a lot from national touring musicians who come back through town. They don't necessarily call you again and remember your name. And so that was, really great to see from those guys that they respected us just as much as we respected them. So
for real.
Eli. I want to throw down one tiny anecdote. Ivan Neville and I, after the gig outside of the Aladdin in Portland, had a TV theme song, TV show theme song, sing off, and I totally slayed him. Just saying, totally slayed him.
Wow.
All out.
There's video somewhere. I'm waiting.
Going on.
Is he
Neville,
watching?
I'm waiting
Is
for
he
you,
watching?
Ivan.
We got another question here. What is the Misty Mountain Retreat?
Right. Well, the Misty Mountain Retreat was the Misty Mountain property that we went to was a cabin rental, more like a compound that was up near Index, and it was owned by a friend of the band's, and who's recently sold that property, unfortunately, and it's no longer a rental property. So the music that was made there will be the last music that will be made there, at least in that capacity. But the Misty Mountain Realty Company does rent cabins up in that neck of the woods, and I would recommend, if you're a band looking to get your band out for a little writing retreat, hit them up. A lot of we've had some great times at those properties, both for recording and socially. And shout out to the Fagans and Dave for hooking that cabin up for us when we went out there. Literally, without that hookup and without going up there to do that and getting that time out of time, we wouldn't be here tonight. The pandemic would still be here, but you just wouldn't be experiencing it with us.
That's right.
Cool. Yeah. I think we're ready for our last tune here.
Nice.
Man from the Future Reprise. Jason, anything you have to say about that one?
Yeah, let's talk about Man from the Future Reprise. This is a unique tune in several ways. First of all, it has no horns on it, right? And that's also a unique thing about this record, is that this record contains 2 tracks that have no horns on it, and that's a first for us. In the Trees does not have horns, and neither does Man from the Future Reprise. The other thing that's unique about it, and I think is really cool, is this came from one of those, at the Misty Mountain retreat where we started messing around with this, the Man from the Future groove, just that funky groove that someone commented earlier on, it reminded them of the Headhunters, and that we said, let's just slow it down, let's see how slow we can play it. And one thing that I've always been thankful to have teachers that have reinforced this over and over again, it's harder to actually play things slower and keep the essence of it, whatever it is. Even my first instrument when I was growing up was violin, and I grew up with the Suzuki method, and there's a couple of Vivaldi pieces that are involved in that whole training. And my teacher, I went through them, I learned them, it was great. And then my teacher said, hey, let's play this at halftime. And just to keep it steady and to keep the pulse and keep the vibe there, it's incredibly difficult, but it is so rewarding once you feel that pocket, you feel that rhythm, and you feel that large pulse that is no longer interrupted by any other subdivisions, any other busyness. And that's kind of what I feel that this tune embraces and embodies. The deep pocket. It's gonna make your head bob, and it's also something that we just kind of, the way we recorded it, we actually just recorded on the fly. We're like, oh yeah, at the end, we're like, we're gonna do that halftime thing, and then see if it sticks. And so we just did one shot. And for me, that's a bit of an editing and production challenge in the end, because it leaves me with less material to kind of go through and massage everything with. But it's a cool imitation, and I think the track turned out really nice. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that tune. I really dig it. I think it's it's one of the funkier ones on the record. We chose to end it. It's a nice wind down. It's a good landing spot, I think, for the record to end. So here you go.
This is
All right, guys, we're back one last time here for a couple more questions for the Polyrhythmics live album stream record release party for Man from the Future. Color Red Records released this today. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, streaming wherever you want it. You can catch it in the links here down below the videos for our streaming sites at Live Concert Stream and Color Red as well. And you can donate to us over at Live Concert Stream, and all of that goes 100% to us. Thank you so much, guys. Our last question here. We have a question about, and this is a tricky one, if you didn't play the instrument you do, which would you play?
Ooh, snap. Ben, why don't you start, man?
Well, because most bands have two guitars, I would just play the other guitar.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Next.
Grant? What would you like to play?
All right, I'll go to. If I had to choose another one, it would either be bass, because I forever am just hearing funky bass lines in my head all the time, baby. You know. Yeah. But also, it's a toss-up between that and keys, because you know, keys are really great for so many things, and like understanding harmony and production and stuff like that. So I'm gonna give it half keys, half bass.
And you like to play sitting down too, so playing keys would be a natural.
Yeah. I mean, if I played bass, I would be on a tall stool with my legs crossed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Make no exception.
Go ahead.
I'll hop on. I think it'd have to be keys for me as well. I think there were a couple times early on where I learned the hard way that I'm supposed to ask permission before I sit down and it's keys. He was always very nice about it, but anytime that I'm on stage, I just really kind of want to go over there and work on the keyboards a little bit. So that's what it'd be for me.
Well, I would choose flute. So maybe we could trade lessons. You know, we could work something out.
I'm into
Work
it.
on my embouchure on the road.
Yeah, just the head joint, man.
Carl, what about you, man?
Bass.
Bass.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know. I mean, everybody, the bass is so cool. I don't know. I mean, the trumpet, only because I've done it before and I like it, and I do miss it. I miss playing the trumpet. I miss nailing those high notes, and I love the way Scott plays the trumpet, and he makes me miss it. So that's that.
Well, Jade, I gotta tell you, I'm a half and half guy too, and one of them's bass and one of them's fucking drums, man. I'm such a drummer at heart. I really am, man. Like, you know, like if anybody's ever heard my writing and know what I've written, they know I'm a fucking drummer. Oh, I'm a darn drummer. Sorry.
I have a video. I have some great videos on my phone of Scott playing drums.
Oh yeah, we do.
That as time goes on and we need more content, you better believe that's coming out.
Oh yeah,
you better believe it.
What about you, Eli?
Yeah, personally, well, quick anecdote. I didn't really choose the trombone. Basically, I was going to middle school, and my dad told me, "Hey, you're going to be in band. Here's my old trombone," and handed it to me, and I went. And now I still play trombone 20 years later.
Nice.
But when I entered high school, I quit the trombone and I wanted to play the bassoon, but we looked up how expensive bassoons are.
Really?
And, they're really expensive.
They're very expensive.
So I would say if I played another instrument, it might be bassoon. So there we go.
I did not know that about you. I love that. That's awesome.
I love it too, man.
I love the double reeds too.
By the way, I love the bassoon, man. I was just kidding. I love the bassoon a lot. It's one of my favorites. It really is.
It's gotta be hard to find work as a bassoon player, though, right?
It has to be. I know a couple professional ones in LA, and they're like, "Yeah, everybody else is screwed." You know?
I mean, it's a cool instrument.
Well, Eli, there's only one way to find out.
Exactly.
It's true, and that's to start an AP
there can only be one rock
play bassoon in it.
Cool. Well, I think we're about wrapped up here. Grant, do you kind of want to take us out, man?
Absolutely. So we just want to thank you guys so much for all your generosity, so much for tuning in. We're really stoked that we're able to, give something to you guys right now and put it out to the world. It's definitely it's a tough time to be a musician, but I think that this time has also made a lot of us really realize how lucky we are to have been doing what we've been doing. And yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone. Thank you so much to everyone in the band for doing what they do. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Frank, our manager. Thank you all the people at Color Red. And just so everyone knows, once more, you can donate to the band via the button at the bottom. You can live concert streams, liveconcertstream.com. Yes. And then also you can still buy the record on Color Red and
colorred.co, right?
Colorred.co. See, this is why we're a team, guys. Need some help. Thanks for the help. And then also, we have new merch. We have a new logo. We have new logo shirts. We've got some sweet hats. We've got all sorts of stuff to get you guys set for this summer. And go to our website and check out that new merch. We love you guys so much. We're going to leave you with Carl playing one of those weird percussion instruments that he likes to play.
All right. Later, Carl.
Yep. See ya. Bye, guys.
Bye. Later.
I wanna be a superhero. I'll mop you up with 6-inch heels on. Ain't playing around, boys. Silky Spectre says you're through. I wanna be a mad, sexy superhero. Punish and please, you're going down. 'Cause that's where the bad boys go. It's time. Gonna save the world and save the girl. Don't let them fall. We're gonna save them all.
Save them all.
I'm gonna make the day and make them pay. Well, there's a ticking time bomb that's about to blow. So get on that X-ray vision and go. Oh, superheroes.
when I wear a Speedo. I got a bald head like Dr. Evil, and I can make time slow down. Both sex in Japan and Crete on the Rhine. I'm in 4 places at one time. Everyone's a puppet, but I see the strings, and I can make time slow down. I could save the world, I could save the girl, won't let them fall. I could save them all. I could fight the fight with no compromise. It's a tragic comedy and I'm the brunt of the joke. We'll let the world go up in smoke. Oh, superheroes get gangster too. See through my eyes, I'm a superhero. 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 Superheroes have feelings too.